Okay, so it's another beautiful day here on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. We're saying welcome to the Polity Friday edition, 10th of April 2026. And of course, it's the last edition of this very program this very week. So we thank you for always sticking around, always tuning in to join us in this very wonderful conversation that looks at development in the polity. You know how we normally do it. We begin with headlines on various newspapers before we get to analysis on the most topical issues captured by these very papers. And the team is here this very morning, so we are ready for us to get down to business. So if you are ready, let's get to right together. Okay, so on the polity today, a lot seems, or rather, a lot have happened in the past 24 hours between the last time we were here and now. If you check the papers, you will see some interesting stories, and I must tell you that today we will have a time challenge for us to be able to look at them, but we're going to try our best to do justice to them. If you look at this paper this very morning, you will see that Nafiu Balagombe, who happens to be leading a faction of ADC, and yesterday he led his supporters to INEC headquarters, where he asked the commission to recognize him as the authentic chairman of the party. So he's not backing down. Then that same yesterday, David Mark led National Working Committee of the ADC filed a suit at the Federal High Court in Abuja, asking the court to compel INEC to reverse changes made to the party's leadership record on its portal. So two things happening for ADC yesterday. Then look at the other side, you see that the World Bank is talking. World Bank released the report yesterday where they asked federal government to take some steps to ensure that whatever gains that have been recorded since subsidy was removed are not eroded. And one of the things that the World Bank is asking federal government to do is to reinstate petrol import duty market, so that there could be some element of competition to help drive down the price of a liter of petrol in Nigeria. Then yesterday too, we got to know about the number of soldiers who were killed during a coordinated terrorist attack on troops of the 29 Task Force Brigade under Operation Harenkai, their headquarters in Borno State. From what we gathered from different media sources and also from the defense headquarters, the number is unknown now, but there are reports suggesting that a brigadier general was killed in that very incident. And I must say that the president has already issued a statement regarding that, trying to condole with the military and at the same time asking them not to be deterred by whatever challenge or challenges they might be facing. Then we saw how U.S. Embassy in Nigeria, told their citizens and also told non-emergency staff at the U.S. Embassy in Abuja for them to, leave the office because of issues of insecurity. But for the Nigerian government, they're not taking that because they believe that Nigeria is safe, saying that the U.S. was only being precautionary in its directive to citizens. Then another development, Ohanes Igbo, they are in the news, no thanks to the SND Igbo title, which seems to be creating problems for Igbos in different countries. Ghana, South Africa, even in Lagos State, we have had incidents of incidents linked to SND Igbo title and plenty other things. So there are plenty of other things we have in the paper this very morning. The issue of increasing house rent is also on the paper this very morning. So you can see that the papers have many interesting stories today. So we're going to bring you all of that. Just stay with us as we get to begin the program in earnest. Okay, you are listening to the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM Onitsha. My name is Franklin Ebekatono Lisambeki, is on the analysis desk. and he's going to offer insight into the issues we're going to raise today. And in the course of the program too, we are going to be joined on phone by a certified financial engineer, an investment banking executive who also plays in the oil and gas industry. He's going to offer also a dimension to the conversation we are going to have this very morning. Tony, good morning.
Good morning to you, Franklin. Ebuka, good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, the good people of Southeast. Good morning, Anambra. Good morning, Ndi Onitsha Dono Idu. Good morning, Ndi Osumohu. Good morning, Ndi Oro Yubo, Ndi Olunkuzi, the Nazwafia, the transporters, the farmers, the pensioners, the senior citizens, the physically challenged, even the mentally challenged, everyone under the reach of our voice, and those who are doing good for the sake of humanity, the service providers, those who render essential services, even our security agents. We must also and acknowledge them, those who are doing good work, not those nakunoza and ego. We are not going to acknowledge the person. Those who intimidate, harass, molest our people, we are not going to acknowledge them. We are going to acknowledge those who are doing their work professionally, even when we know they are a minority, but we'll still acknowledge them. And we're also going to acknowledge those who make sure that wherever they find themselves, things are done properly. They make sure that the promoters of peace, they are Shudo or Shudo. I don't know the difference between which one comes first. Ezudo means the king of peace, or Shudo means those who are eager to ensure that there is peace. So we acknowledge all of them, both Ezudo and Oshudos. So the most important thing is that we are back here in the sanctuary of the Most High, the sanctuary of God. When I say that, sometimes some of us are evangelists in our own way, because what we do here, we tell the people the truth, no matter how bitter it's out. Because God, Abulo, Oyeneme partiality. God is God of impartiality. So that's why we stand here, and we stand to be impartial, but to tell you the reality, no more, no less. Whichever way you take us, that's for you. But we are here doing the work of the Lord. We thank God Almighty for His grace, for His love, for His kindness, for the miracle of waking up again today. I always say each day you wake up, that's miracle. You don't need to go far looking for another miracle. But if another one comes, fantastic. But the first one is waking up alive. We thank God Almighty for making it possible. Today is Friday, the 10th day in the month of April, in the year 2026. April now. We are done, because by the time we go to next week, we must maybe start forgetting about Easter festivities and everything about Easter. You are welcome, the good people of God. Just sit back and enjoy the program.
Okay, don't forget that you are live on our Facebook page, Udala Radio 104.7 FM. It's a platform for you to deepen the conversation, share your view on the issues we're going to raise this very morning. And very, very important, don't forget your name and your location while you are posting. That platform offers you the opportunity to view live what is going on in the studio here. We are also live on our YouTube and Instagram channels, Udala Radio. So get interactive on those platforms. They are all intended for deepening conversation. So like I told you this very morning, that we have papers for us to look at. So we have a 4 newspaper today to see the headlines there. We have The Guardian, Punch, Vanguard, and Daily Sun newspaper. And we'll begin with the headlines on Daily Sun newspaper. The big story that says FG faults US on travel advisory. That story can be found on page 6. It has a Raiders says it doesn't reflect overall security situation in Nigeria. Boko Haram members back 60 40-year jail terms. Ohaneze abolishes as a Igbo title outside Igbo land. That story can be found on page 20, or rather that should be page 30. It has a rider, other sanction of defaulters. FG hires 6 sons, 17 others to defend Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway project. Interesting one. Nigeria at pivotal moment, Uzodimma on page 30. The writer says, hails Anyoku as epitome of good governance. Yesterday was a Emeka Anyoku lecture series which held in Oremo State. Ondo, Edo, Bauchi, Taraba, Ebonyi lead a Lassa fever death hit 167 on page 27 of the Listen newspaper. On page 25, petrol hike, TUC asks FG to subsidize Dangote, other refineries. It has a rider expresses fears fuel price may reach or rise to 2,000 naira per litre. And the last headline we had on the front page of Daily Sun says David Mark-led ADC prays call to reverse INEC's decision. The writer says Gombe leads protest to INEC, demands recognition of own faction. That story is on page 8 of Daily Sun. We now move over to Vanguard, and the big story says special report cutthroat rent hikes worsening Nigeria's housing crisis. The story is on page 10. It has riders, how landlords, estate agents exploit helpless tenants with arbitrary rents. Why rents are skyrocketing, what Nigeria must do, low incomes, high building costs, weak mortgage system, others fingered. 550,000 housing units needed yearly to overcome 50 million deficit in 10 years. And Tony, a few days ago, we met, there was a man we met with too. And when we had a conversation, it was about how, rent is skyrocketing in Anambra State, precisely in Onitsha. And it was a bitter lamentation where he talked about how a state or house agent connive with landlords to extort, helpless citizens. We'll talk about that later. Then, another headline says Middle East crisis calls grow for inclusion of Lebanon in peace deal. That story can be found on page 8. Until we come together, nobody will fix Nigeria for us, says our Obasanjo on page 38. About the nameplate, World Bank downgrades Nigeria's 2026 economic growth to 4.1% on page 19. ADC sues INEC, demands recognition of Mark Areboshola on page 5. Army General feared killed in Boko Haram attack on Bruni community on page 7. U.S. orders non-emergency staff to leave Abuja embassy on page 9 of Vanguard newspaper. On The Guardian, the big story says service charge, how government squeezes masses to fund bureaucracy inefficiency. That story is the big story on pages 4 and 5 of the Guardian newspaper. ADC Abejide leads protest to INEC, demands Bala's recognition. That story is on page 3. George alleges plot by APC INEC to undermine democracy once against one-party state. That story is on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. The George here is Bode George. That's the person who is speaking. NMPC, NUPROC, oil major insist on 300 million barrels per day target, 6 lower production costs. That story can be found on page 3. It depends on if they're going to fix those challenges facing the oil and gas, especially issues with pipeline vandalization. Then another story says Nigeria's future, age-long conflict, warrior Obasanjo on page 7. Ohaneze 6 Kano's release bans Ezigbo title outside Igbo land on page 29. It reinstates petrol import licenses to avert inflation spike. World Bank urges Nigeria on page 18. That's the business page. Lagos Judiciary leverages tech to reduce 64% of 80,812 inmates awaiting trial. Interesting. Page 29. 80,812 inmates awaiting trial in one state. Whereas, if you check the records now, they say if you go to Netherlands now, there is no longer any prison existing in Netherlands because they have phased that out and they're talking about how to do reformation. Then I look at this very headline that says fresh terror attacks, fuel concerns, U.S. response despite official reassurances on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Okay, so we now cross over to the last paper this morning, which is the Punch. On Punch, the headline beside the nameplate says FG insists Nigeria safe as US pulls embassy officials on page 7. Fresh blow for ADC as this Congress is stalled. On page 2, the writers say court out Adamawa Congress, Anambra, Ondo, Zamfara put on hold. Kaduna Osun factions pull out. Mixed outcomes in Kebbi, Sokoto, Plateau. ADC asks Abuja court to void INEC's decision to unmark Areboshola. Okay, well, I think this very morning too, I read that ADC in Enugu State has also suspended the planned Congress in Enugu State, saying that they got the directive for them to halt actions for now, pending when they get further directive. This one says, Borno attack, Army General, terrorists killed, Tinubu months on page 7. Nigeria poverty hit 63% despite easing inflation. World Bank is saying so on page 9 of the Punch newspaper. Power outages, insecurity, top business challenges. CBN survey on page 443 of the Punch newspaper. And these are the headlines we have this very morning on the front pages. So we ask you to stay with us as we further this very conversation. Stay with us.
You're listening to the Polity. Get involved now.
Okay, so you are listening to the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. My name is Franklin Ebukan. The time now is 9:33 a.m. That's 27 minutes to 10. And we have to begin today's conversation. Tony Lisambeki is on the analysis desk. And I told you earlier that as the show progresses, that we are going to be joined online by Dr. Nemeka Obereri, who is a certified financial engineer and investment banking executive who also plays in the oil and gas industry. He's going to help us on the analysis regarding and what the World Bank is asking Nigeria to do if we are going to mitigate the effects of the crisis in the Middle East, which has been affecting lives, no thanks to the increment in the price of petrol in Nigeria, which has invariably affected other lives, other aspects of our life. But that will be later. So we're going to begin from somewhere precisely regarding what came out from a meeting that was held by the Apex Igbo Social Cultural Organization, the one we know as Ohanes and Igbo Worldwide. Yes, Ohanes and Igbo Worldwide has banned the confinement and the use of the title of Igbo outside Igbo land and in any foreign countries. Now, they are warning that violators of this very proscription are going to face sanction, which is going to be determined by traditional authorities. Yesterday, there was a meeting in Enugu, what they know as the Imobi or General Assembly meeting. They had it yesterday in Enugu. And after the meeting, the President General of Ohanes and Igbo, Chief John Azutambata, he announced that decision, saying that henceforth there's now a ban or proscription on the conferment or use of Igbo title outside Igbo land. Now, they said that they had consultations, and that consultations involved a wide range of people, and they made them to take that very decision. They said, from what they have seen happening in recent times, take for instance the violent protests that we saw in South Africa over the Igbo title, that they have decided to take this very dimension to ensure that lives are protected and sanity is brought back to the Igbo traditional system. Now, they are saying that what they have decided on now, that they are going to formally communicate this position to the state governments and diplomatic missions worldwide. Now, Mbata went on to say that any such title of Igbo conferred outside the Southeast will no longer be recognized by the Igbo nation. And he went on to say that Consultations with rulers across Igbo land, are ongoing to determine the appropriate sanctions for defaulters. And he said that this sanction is going to be carried out through community structures like the town union and local leadership. At that very meeting that they had in Enugu, the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Lady Bianca Odumegwu, she was at that very meeting. And after the meeting, she also spoke. She said that the coronations have become a big embarrassment to Nigeria. Hence, there is need to bring sanity. Now, she said that citizens can express themselves culturally without causing a nuisance to indigents of their host country and others. Now, this is the story itself. I just told you everything about the outcome of that very meeting that was held in Enugu regarding the SNDIBO title. If you are going to cast your mind back, you will recall that there have been about 3 recent issues regarding this SNDIBO title. One happened in Lagos, one happened in Ghana, and the most recent one happened in South Africa. Now, SNDIBO is coming in as interventionist. So, Tony, I will take your thought on this very move which was made by SNDIBO by proscribing SNDIBO title outside Igbo land. Now, while responding to this very question, I would like you to address the issue of how thoughtful, necessary, and germane is this very proscription by SNDIBO. That's number one. And number two is, if SNDIBO have the power or the right or the footing to make such proscription.
Well, you've answered maybe, let me not say you have answered, but the question is also leading whether they have the power or the right to prescribe, to take certain decisions that are taken. The answer is obviously no. SNDIBO, there are many Igbo people that do not even believe in SNDIBO. It's a socio-cultural association. There are those that may not even believe it. SNDIBO is not that association that tells Igbo people what to do, how to do it. Igbo people are Republican in nature, but that doesn't mean that we will not have organized way of doing something. For me, I think there should be a better Igbo body, like Igbo Constituent Assembly, the one everybody subscribe to.
Would that be possible?
Of course.
In Igbo land?
It's all about consultation.
Because SNDIBO was formed as an umbrella body to govern.
SNDIBO is elitist.
But everybody does not recognize that. So if you form another group, would everybody recognize that and subscribe to the idea?
SNDIBO is elitist. We know why it was formed, because it was formed immediately after the Civil War. The idea is to enable integration, rehabilitation, and also protection to ensure that our brothers and sisters who have suffered in the war are no more in any way maligned. And it was also to foster regional collaboration in how we do things. That's when SNDIBO was formed. And it was formed by elitists. And they put it as a tool to intervene or to talk with government on issues concerning Igbo. It's a case where they try to interface with government on issues affecting Igbo. I think that's basically what SNDIBO does. Interfacing with government at different levels on issues concerning Igbo, not to tell Igbos what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and where to do it. It does not work that way. It doesn't work that way. Let's be very careful. Igbos have never devoted anybody the power, the authority to reign supreme over its affairs. But when we have something like Igbo Constituent Assembly, this one I'm proposing may not really be elitist. Grassroots, where both the PGs of different communities, stakeholders of different communities, traders, everybody will be a member and have a say. We can always agree that this is where we want things to be done. Even if we have that, it does not also confer absolute authority on how Igbos do their things. Of course, we know we have culture. We have the ordinary. those who ensure that these things are cultures, these things are protected and maintained at all time. It's important. So for me, when you hear things like Ohaneze Ndigbo prescribe bans, as what? As who? Who gave the order? These are people that arrogate powers they never possess, they never have. You may not like Ezendibo in that because we have a different views about it. We have a diverse view about Ezendibo. Even while I was growing up, there was this man from my town. I don't know if Ayo Ebunono. Those days, he was Ezendibo in Osun State. He was from he's late as we speak. He was from my town, and each time he comes back to Osmo, you see this respect. He does not in any way context with the Osmo king, even though at that period Osmo had no king, because our king at the last I checked died about 1986 or thereabouts, many years back, if I can still remember. For those of us in Osmo listening to me, no contestation, and we saw it as a way to protect Igbos living in those areas. I think the problem is the title Exe. If that may have been translated to Onyendu Ndi Igbo, where we have problem with that is the title itself, because wherever you have people, there should be a leader. Yes, I will propose, instead of Ezendibo here, Ezendibo that, why don't we use Onyendu in Osun State, Onyendu in Lagos State, Onyendu in...
Tony, is this about title? Because this very proscription, this very ban is coming on the background of kicks and violence that we have seen in some places. I mentioned Ghana. I mentioned the one that happened in Lagos, where Lagos government even had to pick up somebody. And I mentioned the recent one that happened in South Africa. If you look at this whole thing, if you dig deep, the issue was that the locals or the host community felt that they were being dominated, they were being overtaken, that there was this loudness in the way and the manner it is being done. So is it about the name is Ndibo, or the way people who get this very title now go about having this very title?
The truth remains that the two Igbo kings in their respective kingdoms and domains are not happy with this Ezendibo issue, because the one of Ezendibo is where group of Igbos who live outside Igbo land confer on somebody such title. Here, if you have a variant in our own Igbo land where the people or the villagers, through a democratic process, confer somebody their king. Now the issue is which one is superior to each other. Can you equate, let's say, Ezendibo in Osun State with Ezendibo in any of the communities we have in Igbo land? Are they the same? Can they be measured in the same scale? We understand that it's all about leadership, the need for us to have leaders. But I'm saying that the need for us to differentiate the two. Yet, because the community of Igbos in Osun State may be large, can it be compared to a particular Igbo community where the king emerged through the people? And if you go to these towns, there's an Igbo in Osun, I'm using Osun as a case study. The Oba in that land may see him as a rival, because you can't be a king in another king's kingdom. Given, you cannot be a king in another's king kingdom, even for your people. I'm just trying to be logical. How would you feel? The king of my town, let's assume, and you have Oba of so people in the same town. It means we are sharing kingdom. Yes. But this time around, we are sharing kingdom in a way where the kingdom is constituted by one, the people who are your subjects and also overall subject, because you cannot be a king and be under another king. Now tell me, the ex-Ndi Igbo in Osun, which I'm also using as a case study, is he a subject to a monarch in Osun? The answer is yes. He's a subject to a monarch in Osun. How can a king be a subject? These things are confusion. Can a king be a subject of another king? If you look at it, it is bringing confusion. I think what we should do, you can have Ndi Igbo in a place where there is no king of any extraction. That is why I prefer Onyendu Ndi Igbo. These things are things we can review. I'm not saying that my idea is the best, but I've just said here, Ohaneze Ndi Igbo has no power, has no authority to prescribe anything, to ban anything. But can we review this issue of Eze Ndi Igbo? Because I met the other day, I'm coming to you, maybe let me quickly wrap up. If you go to South Africa, if you go to Togo, if you go to Ghana, the different tribes from Nigeria have their king. They call it with different names, but Yoruba people still use Oba. Even at that, can you be Oba in another man's land where that land has a monarch? So the Oba is now a subject to that monarch. This brings confusion.
So we're going to look at this thing with title, because we discovered that many of our people, we like title, and wherever we go, we would like to recognize with such titles. And sometimes you keep on asking whether the value or worth of a man is tied to a title he bears. Now, from where you are coming from, you've been able to highlight a couple of things which need to be emphasized, because you might be asking yourself, why do some people oppose this very Ndi Igbo title of a thing? If you check the Igbos, as you have mentioned, that you can see in some cases we have seen conflict with traditional Igbo political structure, where, of course, we know if you come to Onitsha, for instance, there is, the Bibi of Onitsha. Go to another town, you also have that very monarch, though they go by different names. In some places it could be Obi, it could be Eze, it could be Igwe, and what have you not.
Okay.
So the ones they do have where they reside, at times it is seen as it is in conflict with the traditional monarch that communities do know. Now, and when you talk about what a king is, a king simply means somebody who is in charge. And so when you now go to Osun State, for instance, and begin to answer as Ndi Igbo, it will appear as if you are now the king over all Igbos everywhere.
Yeah.
So that assumption might be there. Then you talk about the issue of legitimacy. When it comes to the Igbo traditional system, if you want to select a king, there is a process. The community comes together to choose who the king will be. But in the case of these Ndi, what they do have in some communities, it's just that community of persons from Igbo land who select who becomes the leader and give the person that name as Ndi.
Yeah.
Then you now come to the issue of the tension with host communities. You have highlighted that sometimes the monarch in that host community feels threatened, that it's like somebody is coming to rule in my own land, and then they begin to have conflict. So these are the backgrounds bringing this very confusion, this very conflict. What is the way forward? Is it this issue of proscription, or is there any way we can talk to ourselves to understand why, if you're in a man's land, this is how you're supposed to carry yourself, this is what you're supposed to do, and this is what we are not supposed to do?
All right, the way forward, because you can't leave people without leadership. Leadership is why a set of people that are protected, that are coordinated, they do things commonly. You can't strip people with leadership. The problem is the title of the leadership. That's what is in contention. I'm proposing as a way forward. Let's change Ndi Igbo in diaspora as Onyendu Ndi Igbo. That's my proposal. But let me also emphasize, Ohaneze Ndi Igbo has no power to ban, to proscribe, to confer themselves authorities they don't even have. I've emphasized that one. Let's choose Onye Ndu Ndi Igbo. There should be leadership, because you know why? The roles these people perform in some of these, diasporan communities, should I use diaspora or foreign communities or communities outside this? Coordination, togetherness, unity. This unity will preserve them against any oppressive tendency. If there is any one of them having bad tide or bad fortunes, they come to the person's help. We've seen this association rendering us all sort of help, but they can also form it as a form of association. But the idea of Onye Ndu Ndi Igbo is to bring back the culture of Igbo people. Let me tell you this. Most of our brothers and sisters born in some of these communities, if you don't bring our culture, they will start entrenching the culture of the host communities. If you form it as a word of association, it may not carry the culture along with it. The more reason Onye Ndu comes in to bring into the affairs of Igbo people in there. Onye Ndu. The Jewish community did this many years while they were scattered all over the world. We thank God Almighty that the Jewish community was resettled sometime around 1948. But before 1948, they were scattered. Even when Christ was born, there was not even, they were under rulership of the Roman Empire. Yes. And even before that, even when Israel as a kingdom was divided, you have Israel, you have Judah. At the point, Israel was also divided. And you know how they were conquered by Babylonians, the Assyrian, you know the story. But they were scattered all over the world. From that time immemorial until they were reassembled after the Second World War with the UN help and other things that happened. But the point they maintained their communities. Why when they were in Poland, you have Jewish community in Poland and they entrenched their culture. That is why they never lost their culture. If they do not have such kind of structure, they have what they call their leader. The Jewish community, the Jewish people, they have what they call their leader. In Poland, in Germany, in Greece, if you look at this Shakespearean book, Merchant of Venice, it was talking about a Jewish merchant. Go and read about it. What the point I'm trying to make is we need it. But you cannot be a king in another king's kingdom.
Okay, so if you look at what Ohaneze is saying, they're saying that violators are going to face sanctions that are going to be determined by traditional authorities. And I just want to take a position from that before we wrap up this now. It says anybody who is being awarded that type of title anywhere outside of Igbo land is on his own. It's unknown to the Igbo people, and we will call upon all state governors. We will correspond to all embassies in the world, informing them about the position of Ndi Igbo. This is Mbata saying so, and he says again, the position of Ndi Igbo anywhere outside Igbo land is hereby alienated and proscribed. That is the position of Ndi Igbo worldwide. We will determine in consultation with the kings of Igbo land what the punishment will be for anyone who goes against this position, and that punishment will be implemented at the village level. Your hometown, your town union will be under injunction to implement that punishment, but we are going to declare that punishment after due consultation. Now, the traditional rulers and the traditional institutions they are talking about, are they not the ones that also, dish out chieftaincy title to any Tom, Dick, and Harry, not minding where the person is coming from?
And then, just like you said, the same Ohaneze Ndi Igbo during politics, either presidential, they will go and take money. Who gives them punishment? When Ohaneze Ndi Igbo collects money to support a particular candidate, who gives Ohaneze Ndi Igbo punishment? I think they are just being very, very dramatic. They are being comic, if you ask me. I feel that they don't have powers in all of the things you have read out. They don't have such powers. The truth remains that every state in Nigeria, the last I checked, has its own traditional law. You cannot become a king if a governor of a state does not recognize you. There will be certificate of recognition by a governor showing that you're a king. This SND, what we've seen in most states. Tell me any governor that has issued certificate of recognition. No governor. The truth is that it is really seen, because by the time you contest, they will tell you it's an association. And they will tell you it's our language. That just leave the king there. The last time something of this was contested in Ogun State, I remember I was in Ogun State then. The government of Ogun State felt disturbed that it was going out of hand. And when they were summoned to the government house, they said, no, it was association. It was association. I forget the title. The truth is, it is not an association. It is more than association, something cultural to preserve our identity. We understand those things. And I've said, the title, you can't be Eze without recognition. How can you be a king without recognition? By either the government of that very state, when you know there is a traditional law or chieftaincy law of that very state. That's why I proposed Onyendundi Igbo, the leader of the Igbo people in that very town. Let him wear any traditional and cultural attire as Onyendu. But the idea is, because if you're Onyendu, you don't need recognition from the state government. You don't fall into this trap we are talking about. You don't fall into this trap. So, but all these threats coming from Ohanes and Igbo, they don't have the powers. Which PG would they give instruction and they will obey? Ohanes and Igbo cannot even issue an instruction to any PG. You cannot issue an instruction to any Igbo king. They can't issue any instruction because these people act in accordance with the traditional and chieftaincy law of the state they reside in. And the governor, of course, has been given overriding power to ensure that that law is maintained and complied to.
Okay, so we're going to go for a commercial break. Maybe by the time we open the phone lines, if you're going to call in, tell us what you think about this. Whether the issue is about the title, the SND, or it's about the way people who do this thing carry themselves in the host community where they reside, or even outside, outside where they reside. I used to know those guys where Onye Chilozo Ochi got somewhere in another community where he wants to be recognized as a Manyozo because Omer in his community there will be sanctions. But these days, everybody wears the red cap as if it's of no significance. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
We are Udala Radio. Udala Radio 104.7 FM.
Special announcement. All traders and business owners affected by the ongoing demolition at Onitsha Main Market. An alternative is now available. West Africa Intercontinental Trade Center Limited, WETC, in partnership with the Anambra State Government, is building a modern commercial complex at Oze Nkwele Road Mechanic Village. Good news. All affected traders will receive free shops for 1 year, while the permanent shop clusters are being completed. To benefit from this opportunity, all affected traders and interested persons should visit the Onitsha Chamber of Commerce to obtain the expression of interest form. Location: opposite Shanahan University Gate, Basilica of the Most Holy Trinity Compound, GRA, Onitsha. Investors who wish to build modern shops for sale to subscribers can also obtain the forms. Note: only 16 clusters remain, and each cluster contains 272 shops. Don't miss this opportunity to secure a shop in the WETC Modern Trade Complex today. For inquiries, call 0803 786 6974 or 0813 644 5336.
When you think of roofing, think of strength. When you think of durability, think of beauty. And when you think of all three combined, think Best Aluminium MFG Limited. At Best Aluminium, we don't just manufacture roofing sheets. We create protection, comfort, and style for your home and business. Whether you're building from scratch or repairing an old roof, we have exactly what you need. Our products include stone-coated roofing sheets, aluminum roofing sheets, and colored roofing sheets. But that's not all. We also offer residential and commercial roofing services, roof repairs, gutters, emergency emergency roofing services, and even durable cookwares that bring quality to your kitchen. Visit us today at 30/32 Anyika Street, Awada Obosi, Anambra State, or call us right now on 0806 416 2374 or 0706 059 6203. Onitsha, are you ready? This is not your regular night out.
Another one.
This is Udala House Party. Live at Movie Lounge, 8 Park Road, GRA Onitsha, on April 10th, 2026 at 7 p.m. And guess what? Entry is free.
Involve me!
With vibes from DJ Famous, Prestige, Bucci, Ojugo, Edith, and Lisa. Plus performances from DJ Fabulous, Tantawo, and the Obrigado. There will be games, 10 free casino slots for 10 lucky winners, board games, vibes, energy all night. Strictly 18 and above. And yes, it's gonna be live on air on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Udala House Party this Friday. Make it a date. Brought to you by Udala Radio and Movie.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM.
You're listening to the Polity. Get involved now.
Okay, you listening to the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM Onitsha. It's 2 minutes past 10 a.m. My name is Franklin Ebekatono Lisambeki. Is on the analysis desk, and we're looking at the issues that have emanated from the headlines on the front pages of papers we brought you this very morning. So, the issue with Ahmed proscribing SND title outside the land, we're going to leave it for now so that we get over to other things we have this very morning, because a lot of things on the papers. And I must tell you that yesterday the World Bank issued a report about Nigeria, and in that very report, the World Bank advised Nigeria to urgently reopen the petrol import market and dismantle long-standing trade restrictions or face a renewed inflation surge. Now, World Bank is saying that tightening supply conditions and rising global oil prices, could be immediate risk with the current stability we have enjoyed so far. And in that same yesterday, World Bank also, in that same report of World Bank, the World Bank also talked about 63% of Nigerians, living below poverty line, and that calls for concern. In fact, a whole lot came out from that very report by World Bank yesterday, and we keep on wondering. So, at this point in time, what can we do to ensure that whatever gains that have been recorded are not eroded? That same yesterday, TUC told the federal government to reconsider giving Dangote refinery, subsidized crude, so that they will be able to have control on the price of crude oil, or rather the price of petrol in the country. Now, so Tony, this is the situation. World Bank making a call on Nigeria. At this time, I don't know whether Nigeria is going to accept that, or if he's going to keep me, because for us here, even here on the radio, we have been talking about measures that government can adopt to ensure that we get to have the price being within a control level, so that it won't shoot up in a way that we get back to the, to the days where inflation was hitting like 30%, Tony.
Well, for me, anything that comes from World Bank, I do take it with a pinch of salt, because at times it could be a poison chalice. Whenever you hear World Bank urges, World Bank says, just take it that US is the one talking to you. World Bank is the property of United States of America. It's their property. Forget that many countries are members. Of course, they have overridden influence. They decide where World Bank goes, how they do their things, how they operate. So it's US talking to us. Even when IMF talks, the same US talking to us. So what it means, I can easily and safely paraphrase it. US urges Nigeria to restore import or petrol import licenses to avert spikes. Is US talking to us? Forget that they are coming under the cloth of World Bank. Now, just like I said, you gotta take it with a pinch of salt. But at times, their statement could be a poison chalice. You have to look at that statement. What could be their intention? Because each statement that comes from them, first think of it. Is it going to be their own favor if you adopt that, if you do that? Are you going to, in a way, boost the economy? Because they have one of the refining capacities around the world. They have refineries scattered all over the world. That's the United States of America. So when we go out to import petrol, we could be patronizing their refineries. Yes. We could be patronizing the refineries. Of course, they may sell cheaper, but at the same time, it could also affect our foreign exchange earning. The dollars we could have used in some other things to give to importers, to give to those who may need it for one thing or the other outside the country. We use that money or dollars to import petrol. What happens to Dangote refinery? What happens to our, no matter how you see Dangote refinery, it is our own, because the tax they pay also help government to run its activities. Somebody who pays over 400 and something billion naira annually as tax. That's what it pays. How many of these companies US could be propelling us to import from? How many of them are paying tax to Nigerian government? US is not even the World Bank. Look at them. They are not even telling us to fix their local refineries immediately, so that there could not be monopolistic tendency, which would also help in adjusting prices. They are not telling us to fix our refineries, but they are telling us to give people more import license so they can import from their own refineries scattered everywhere around the world. That's why I said, each time, anytime you hear anything World Bank said, IMF said, is US talking to you indirectly. I have said it many times. And whatever they say, first and foremost, think of it from their own angle. How could that be favorable to them? And we have established it now. By the time you give more import licenses to some of these marketers, where are they going to import from? They are going to import from mostly companies owned by US, refinery companies owned by US, patronizing them in a way to bring down the price. And you are also going to help their dollar strengthen against naira, because each time you try to import something heavily, you are strengthening their dollars against their own naira. That is why our naira keep losing value. Why the exchange rate is 1,400 and something as we have it today is because of this interplay. It's not the realistic value of that exchange rate. It is artificial, foisted by powers that be. That exchange rate is purely artificial. It does not really measure the values involved in both countries. I've said this because it's gonna be a class, it's gonna be a lecture. We will tell the people things they should know. The advice coming from World Bank, for me, it is a new colonial advice. Okay,
so now look at the argument. The argument is that for the fact we have Dangote refinery and it is the only one producing.
Yes.
That if they give import license to people to import, that they can still offer some kind of competition to Dangote refinery, because if those who are importing at a cheaper rate, it can support Dangote refinery to see how it can also reduce its own cost.
All right. Why didn't they say fix your refineries? Why are they also asking us? US and the World Bank and all these IMF, they have been, well, I won't accuse them, I won't blame them, because our leaders sheepishly take the advice. I'm not saying they are the ones they will give you. You look at it and see the merit aspect of it, and you think of it from the angle of how can this benefit your countrymen and women? How is it going to help your economy? That's the way you go. But this one does not work. They are not telling us to fix our refineries. We have Warri, we have Port Harcourt, we have even Kaduna. We have 2 in Port Harcourt on there. They are not telling us to fix these refineries. They are telling us to go and import from their own. How many times will they keep deceiving us? That's what I said. And don't you know that if we do this, they are asking us, the exchange rate, Franklin, take it or leave it. Exchange rate will not be 1,400 as we have it against dollar. The exchange rate will go high. The dollar to naira rate we go, it will be something that will affect all of us. And why we are trying to make the price of petrol to be either competitive, to ensure that Dangote does not ride roughshod on every one of us because of his monopoly, inclination, and all that. We may be shooting ourselves on the foot. See, it's a simple economy. If you look at it, for those, I have explained it very well.
So is there any way that government can ensure that there is some level of competition against Dangote refinery so that he won't have that absolute control of what happens to the price of petrol and diesel in Nigeria?
They should make Port Harcourt refineries to start working immediately. If you really do some kind of work, HIEX, 2 months, these refineries will be working. I want these refineries to work to match Dangote, to give Dangote competition. Not important.
These refineries, can they be managed? Because what I'm asking is this: from what we heard from the NNPCL Chief Operating Officer Udala, at a point he proposed that they should find a way to sell the refineries, or see how they can work in partnership with people who will come, rebuild, manage these refineries on behalf of Nigeria. And it's looking like these refineries cannot be managed any longer. Rather, it might require a total overhaul for it to function again. So if that is the situation, should we be talking about get the ones we have working, or talk about how do we get support on that person if government doesn't want to get involved, so that we can have other refineries come up in the country?
The truth is, we are sabotaging ourselves. Before now I was saying that we need a new refinery because the old ones we have, they are either aged, they are bucolic, they are rustic, they are antiquated. I have been making such comment before now. But I have understood that there is sabotage. People in NNPC will go and tell some of these foreign companies that wants to buy the refinery, if you try it, we are going to marginalize you. That's why none of them comes forward to say, I want to buy, I want to take over. Even if government put this refinery for sale, you may not have a buyer. Reason being that people who are making Nigeria not to progress, we go and tell these other companies, you have a stake in Nigeria, right? You have a stake in Nigeria, you want us to be supplying you crude? If you buy, we have every reason not to supply, and we give it every perfect backup. That's why we cannot sell to you. We will be selling to your rival. They will remind those people that you have rivals, and we are going to give your rivals more impetus to outshine you in Nigerian oil industry. If you hear things like this, no company will march forward, because they know that if they try it, those working in NNPC or the executives or those who are managing will find a way to punish them. They wouldn't want the refineries to work because of the gains they are making all over it. But it takes what we call political will. Because for me, we are the president will call for a meeting and even tell these people to have a stake in how NNPC works, whereby the NNPC will have no way to punish them. If you're in business, these are where things work. These refineries are, it's sort of the last way. If not for corruption, tell me why these refineries won't be working. So if not for corruption, there are refineries that are older than our refineries, but are still working everywhere in the world. There are refineries built in 60s, there are refineries built in 50s, they are still working. But these are refineries built in 70s and 80s, and the latest one was around in early 90s. Yes, of course, we need to turn around some things and maintain some things, change and replace some equipment, but not the way we are seeing it. Why they are not working is as a result of monumental corruption. It takes political will to make these things work. What we need is refineries to work as against importing these products.
So that's same yesterday that World Bank issued out this very report, asking Nigeria to consider reinstating import licenses. NUC, or not NUC, TUC, Trade Union Congress, was on the other side, advising the federal government to subsidize the crude being supplied to Dangote refinery and other local refineries so that it can help to check the skyrocketing fuel price in Nigeria. According to the president of a TUC, I'm talking about Festus Sifo, he said that one of the issues generating concern among Nigerians now is the rising cost of petroleum products as a result of the war we have happening in the Middle East. And he said if government fails to do anything, that he fears that if the price of petrol might get up to 2,000 naira per litre, depending on the part of the country where someone is purchasing. And he's saying what can be done now is give crude at a subsidized rate to Dangote refinery so that it can also bring down his cost of production. That's the only way to go, so that we can have a relief. He said the excess money government is making should go into it.
Well, it is akin to the proposal I made on this issue. The last we spoke, I said government can waive either taxes or remove something from the price of crude they supply to Dangote as to bring down the price. I've said these things now. But it's good that TUC is adding their own weight, but they are coming from the angle of subsidizing the petroleum crude they supply to Dangote to maintain an even market price that will be affordable by Nigerians. But I think that Dangote sells to so many other countries, not to Nigeria. Had it been that we have a company that goes to Dangote, where Dangote does refining alone, because I don't know, I stand to be corrected, I don't know if you take your raw crude to Dangote refining company and ask them, please refine and give me the refined product, I don't know if they can do it. If there is such agreement on contract, NNPC can take raw crude to Dangote refinery, since their own refineries are not working. Take raw crude to Dangote refinery, where Dangote refines for them. They pay for refining fee. Take the refined product and distribute. They should think of signing such contract in such a way, because Dangote may not even want it. Because if you sign such contract, Dangote will tell you we are in business, so you want to go and sell cheaper than the ones I'm selling, so, and I will be the one that will refine their own cheaper product. That Dangote will never allow that. That one taken. Yes, give him some incentives, tax incentives, because once you lower the price of the raw crude,
but like you said, that since he's in business and whether I like it or not, NNPCL is like a competitor.
yes,
So for a competitor to go to the competing brand and say, okay, refine this for me, whether you want to give in tax rebate or whatever, he knows that the market is target.
of course.
So the chance that could be considered is like almost zero.
It's not possible. It's not possible. So the point, I on the other side, I'm also proposing government should give Dangote incentive, because if you lower the price of the raw crude you supply to Dangote, Dangote may take advantage of that and supply it to another country, because he is in control of his refining capacity. He supplies to Togo, he supplies to Ghana, he supplies to Benin Republic, he supplies to South Africa, so many African countries. So if you bring down the price of lower crude, how are you going to measure if actually the very raw crude you supplied him that is going to bring it into the Nigerian market? You cannot measure that. You cannot measure that, because he will not allow it to come into his production capacity, production area. The only thing we have to do is to give him tax incentives, so that he can adjust his pump price for Nigerians. The idea suggested by TEC may not work. I have just given you reason why it will not work. What will work, government should give him incentive, tax incentives, so that the price, the pump price in Nigeria will be something lower than what we have currently. But trust me, because the 2-week ceasefire agreement the US entered with Iran, let's see the effect, because I expect the pump price, because we are told now that a barrel of petroleum product is below $100.
I think this morning about $96.
It's coming down. Remember, before all these problems started, it was hovering around $70. It was hovering around $70. That was why we were able to buy the petroleum product. I think the fuel and some of the things we bought at that time at $860, $890, because the price then was around $70 per barrel. But now just like you said, $90. It's gradually coming down because of the ceasefire. The U.S. government entered with the Iranian government. Let's see how it comes down.
Okay.
But even while that is still ongoing, we can also think of giving Dangote incentives and begin to take the most strongest political decisions to make these refineries work. If I were the president, you tell me the refineries will not work? Who are you? Are you the NNPC boss, the one I appointed?
Okay.
They have no reason not to function. I've said it many times.
All right.
Forget all these World Bank and IMF. They want us to patronize their own refineries outside the country.
Okay. So while we think about what could happen in the immediacy, so that people can have reprieve or relief, what happens to the 200,000 barrels per day capacity refinery being built by the CEO of Boa Cement, Abdul Samad Rabiu? Of course, we know that if his own comes on board, it will be the second biggest private refinery in Nigeria, behind that of Dangote's. And from what we gather, that project is worth about $3.5 billion. And as it stands now, what we know is that he's having a partnership with Axen, a French company, to provide technology for this very refinery. How far they have gone now, not much is known about it. And we know that this project is going to be, or rather, it's located in Ibeno, in Akwa Ibom State, but we don't know the timeline for the completion. So, is there also a possibility that government can think of how do we support this very person to ensure that this project is not stalled, just like the way Dangote was supported when he was building his own? Because if his own comes on board, in as much as national capacity is lesser compared to that of Dangote, but they can also help to bring some kind of competition for the sole one we have now, which is Dangote Refinery.
Well, for me, government should find a way to support entrepreneurs. Because when we talk about entrepreneurship, people don't even understand what that means. Identifying opportunities, taking calculated risk, controlling resources to create values and ventures. That's what entrepreneurship is all about. Government must find ways to support entrepreneurs. They supported Dangote. Government gave Dangote everything. Do you know that NNPC gave Dangote about $2 billion, as time to be corrected? $2 billion in cash. What I say in cash, I don't mean the one printed. Readily available. That's what I mean when I say in cash. Readily available, because that's our terminology. That's what Nigerian government through NNPC Limited gave to Dangote. And the Nigerian government also directed banks to raise capital in foreign currency for Dangote. Many banks did. Most of these banks you are hearing about, they raised capital for Dangote in foreign currency, not in Naira. Government gives Dangote incentives, waive a lot of things for Dangote where the refinery is presently located. In all of this, sometimes we forget some of these things.
Okay, Kenny, let me quickly talk about this. I said we are going to be joined on phone by somebody, but I've been trying since to get across to him, so it's been difficult. He's been on call all through, so we go on with this very program. Then the other part of this World Bank report is that 63% of Nigerians have fallen below poverty line, and he said is as a result of the constant inflation. Income is not increasing, but the cost of living is increasing. Purchasing power is being eroded. In that very case, maybe somebody who used to live on 20,000 naira, for instance, and that 20,000 naira used to take care of his or her needs, and now because we now have these very factors, the house rent has increased, school fees has increased, cost of transportation has increased. In fact, everything has increased, and that money is no longer enough for that person to take care of his or her needs. Therefore, we now have a good number of persons, about 140 million Nigerians, now living below poverty line.
Do you know why purchasing power erodes? When you say erodes, it means diminishes. Do you know why? Because of lack of sustained productivity. lack of supplies. It's very simple. If you study simple economics, you understand this. We are not all that productive in this country. And there are a lot of factors that will trigger productivity, and those things have to do with business environment. And when we talk about business environment, you talk about external and internal factors that affect how businesses are run and operated. For those who study business and other courses related to that, the business environment in Nigeria is suffocating. That's the point I'm trying to make. Both the external and internal factors that relate to business environment suffocating. And as a result of that, there is less productivity. Where money compete for services and products that are not as expected, you trade more money to get those products and services. But when the products and services are flooded in the market, your money will have value. But when these products and services are being competed in the market, your money is a case of you bring more money, I bring, and the supplier definitely will keep increasing the price. As it does increase the price, the money loses value. That's the purchasing power. These things are very simple to understand. But once you increase supply, the money appreciates, and also the value also appreciates. But we cannot increase supplies when the business environment is suffocating. That is why I'm saying, look at the energy crisis we're having. That could have set up, I'm not lying, if we fix energy crisis in this country, many macro businesses will spring up overnight, and they will take thousands of jobs. And that will also increase productivity. Okay. That would also sustain your purchasing power. These things are very simple.
All right, so Tony, we'll go for commercial break now, but we have other things we need to talk about. But by the time we return from that very break, if we have time, we do more on that. If we don't have time, we give the audience the room for them to now lead us on those conversations, about the soldiers who were killed by Boko Haram terrorists, troops of 29 Task Force Brigade under Operation Harden Kai. There was an attack at the headquarters in, Beni Sheikh, Borno State, and we learned that a brigadier general actually led the repel attack, but some soldiers were killed. Government has confirmed that. Defense headquarters has confirmed that too. And on that too, we now have the U.S. asking the non-emergency staff for them to leave the Abuja embassy. People are asking questions. Is there any security threat that they know about that we do not know? Does that suggest Nigeria is no longer safe and is becoming worse? Take, for instance, Anambra was even listed among the states that Americans should not visit. Likewise, some other states in the south and what have you. So plenty of stories out there. Then the other side of the story is the report about the rising house rent, and also creating crises in the housing sector. It appears like in years to come, a civil servant might not be able to get an apartment. Maybe, let me say, get a decent apartment where he can afford to stay in the coming time. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
Onitsha, una done ready for the biggest Easter shutdown. Golden Promise Entertainment presents Easter Golden Fiesta. One massive night of music, comedy, and correct vibes. It happens Sunday, April 12, 2026 from 5 p.m. till dawn for Onitsha Mall ShopRite. Host for the night, MC Bim and MC Feargod. Music policy by Emmy Black, Ivado, and Sparkle T. Laughter with comedians like Twin Parrots, Prince Neche, 5 Naira, Dibia Update, Holy Baba and Sister Equitos, plus live performances from Mweze and CJ Ozugo, and DJs will go keep the party hot all night. DJ Staffy, DJ Y Barrow, DJ Two Step, DJ Tony Banks, DJ Freezy, and DJ NK. Tickets they go fast. Regular 2,000 naira, VIP 5,000 naira, VVIP table for 5 200,000 naira. For sponsorship, bookings, and enquiries, call 0814-394-2802 or 0808-441-5156. Easter Golden Fiesta, the party we on nature go talk about. Supported by Udala Radio 104.7 FM.
Admission. This is to inform the general public about the entrance examination into Mata Amabli Secondary School, Umoji, Anambra State. It is an all-boarding secondary school for girls managed by the Catholic Archdiocese of Onitsha, which admits both Catholic and non-Catholic students. It is strategically located along Mpo Umoji Road, roughly 10 minutes drive from Mpo Junction. The exam will be for the prospective students of JSS1, JSS2, SS1 and SS2 classes. Date is Saturday, 11th April 2026. Venue, Mata Amabli Secondary School, Umoji. Time 9 a.m. Forms are currently on sale in the school and will also be available on the exam day. For more inquiries, call 080-3645-6040, 080-3645-6040 or 090-2859-8799, 090-2859-8799. Signed, Management.
The land is green.
For too long, realtors have walked alone. No structure, no protection, no unified voice. That era ends now. Welcome to the Realtors Summit 2026, a historic gathering that will redefine real estate in Anambra and Asaba. The Anambra Asaba Realtors Association, a platform for unity, influence, and collective power. And beyond that, a Realtors Welfare Initiative built to support you when it matters most. Strengthen your career and secure your future in the industry. At this summit, you'll discover smarter ways to close and scale, multiple income channels in real estate, and strategies that move you from hustle to ownership and authority. Featuring Dr. Tony Olisa Mbeki of Udala FM, Lovelyn Chinenye Nana, Property Boss, and Mr. Jude Igwebike, IT Professional. Date 2nd May 2026. Time 11 a.m. Venue 5-star Restaurant Hall, Stock Exchange, Onitsha. This is not for everyone, but for realtors who are ready to rise. For inquiries, call 0803-276-0653. This summit is free, powered by Nebek Real Estate Limited.
It's green.
Searching for a place to eat good food and still enjoy premium relaxation? Stanley World Agwoka got you covered. Welcome to Stanley SFF Restaurant and Operiche Lounge Agwoka, where taste meets class. From hot, delicious local dishes to mouth-watering African and continental cuisines, pepper soup, grilled meat, rice, drinks, and many more. Everything is fresh and satisfying. Step into Operiche Lounge, a calm, classy environment to chill, hang out, and unwind. Perfect for friends, dates, and after work relaxation. Chop well, drink well, and feel cool morning, afternoon, and night. Stanley SFF Restaurant and Operiche Lounge, a haven for good food, great vibes, top security, and steady comfort. For further inquiry, call 0814-565-6920 or 0813-855-8009.
Onitsha, are you ready? This is not your regular night out.
Another one.
This is Udala House Party. Live at Movie Lounge, 8 Park Road, GRA Onitsha, on April 10th, 2026 at 7 p.m. And guess what? Entry is free.
Involve me!
With vibes from DJ Famous, Prestige, Bucci, Ojugo, Edith, and Lisa, plus performances from DJ Fabulous, Tantawo, and the Obrigado. There will be games, 10 free casino slots for 10 lucky winners, board games, vibes, energy all night. Strictly 18 and above. And yes, it's gonna be live on air on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Udala House Party this Friday. Make it a date. Brought to you by Udala Radio and Movie. Are you smart, confident, and ready to earn big? Do you have a passion for sales and marketing? Then listen up. Udala Radio 104.7 FM is calling on ambitious, result-driven individuals to join our team as marketers. No limits, no boundaries, just results and rewards. Work at your own pace, meet amazing clients, and grow your income. Sell it, share it, earn your way. Join Udala Radio and start today. Interested? Visit our station today at number 5 Okono Street, Onitsha, or call 0803-350-4206 or send your CV to udalaradio@gmail.com. Don't wait. Your success story starts here. Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
You're listening to the Polity. Get involved now.
Yes, you are listening to the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM, 10:37 a.m. That's 23 minutes before 11 a.m. My name is Franklin Ebuka, and Tony Sambeki, okay, he's been on the analysis desk. We're going to go to the phone lines now so that we'll be able to accommodate a couple of calls before our time elapses. Don't forget that we are also live on our Facebook page, Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Get there and drop your comments. The phone lines are 0803-221-6694 or 0803-827-6694. Before we get on this record, just to let First Power that there is something they need to attend to with every sense of emergency. I forgot it earlier. This very morning, I saw that somewhere around number 1 Umudiok Odme layout by Anyeju Menwa Street, Odme layout. And we pull Udala there bar, and the worst were that the cable not there is like a high tension cable. So they have to quickly go there and see what they can do so that God restore power there. A back call, electrocution and what have you not. So I think they have to quickly go there and respond to the situation there. In fact, I even think a shop was also affected because the shop also fell in that very area. So First Power has to respond to this very notice about that issue they have with electric pole. Hello. Okay, who do we have? All right, so I think you should try again. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, my name is Josh, calling from Asaba.
Josh, go on.
Yeah, for me, I would like to look on the discussion of Ane Zendibo.
Okay.
I don't really understand where Mr. Speaker is coming from, that the person also understand, because I believe that Ane Zendibo the cultural group that are trying to project themselves to protect the interests of Ndibo. So if at the time that they feel that what their people is doing is not right, I believe that they will bring a point like advice or a order that should stop. Because if they are taking that title and it causing problem all over the place that you call that title, why can't you stop? It's a simple analogy. It's a simple understanding. Anyway you took the title, you are possibly not that the problem is coming to you direct, then you will affect every other people that is from that region. That what happened in South Africa. It's not that person that took the title that they affected. They looked at a lot of shops that belong to Igbo. The one that happened in Ghana, the one that happened in Lagos. So why can't there be that there's a body that can come and be in the point of advising or a decision maker that please this thing that you people are doing, you people need to stop. That be causing problem to the other masses. So for me, I don't feel that what Ane Zendibo did is in the wrong path. No, I don't unless that the speaker is going to see it in another angle.
Okay.
Because we are pretending that they are like the only cultural group in Southeast. If there is any other one, let us know. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Josh, for dropping by. Okay. 0803-221-6973 or 0803-827-6694. You can get across to us using any of these telephone lines we just read out. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, your name?
My name is Tijani Kazim Olaya, calling from Mungpo.
Go on, sir, Tijani.
Yeah. First I'm Becky. Okay, I'm making you.
Yes, go on. He stepped out.
Yeah. Okay. You see, talking about the SND, I could remember in Indonesia here. So I'm Indonesia. I'm at Mungpo.
Okay.
Then when people to visited the Yoruba community in Indonesia, there with the king of Yoruba in Indonesia, people say no. Say this is very wrong. Say there is the Yoruba for nature. So you can never have the Oba of Yoruba in Onitsha. So we can only have leader. Yes, that's what people told us that day. So going to other people's land to answering Oba or Igwe Oba no, it's wrong. Like the Becky said, there can be leader, the Igbo leader. That's what the Igbo leader in South Africa, Igbo leader in England, Igbo leader in London. That's also leader. And what the organizing people said, it's not so bad. It's not bad. It's not bad because they just try to put the Igbo in any way there. Because look at now in South Africa now. Those people in Africa, they are very upset about them burning their property. What reason? So thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
God bless you.
Thank you for joining. Maybe if there is anybody within the Hausa community who lives in Anambra State, if you can call in and explain to us the concept of Sariki, what does Sariki mean? Because I know that if you go to the Hausa community in some places, you get to see, oh, this person is Sariki Hausa and what have you not. Hello. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning. Your name?
Ambassador Moses Richard from Onitsha.
Okay, go on, Ambassador Moses.
Yeah, on the issue of CBN, Central Bank of Nigeria denying the issue of new Naira note. I can tell you that
Hello,
I'm just...
Please hold on. Where is that coming from?
It's coming from one of the papers now, that the people are debunking. CBN is debunking the new Naira note in circulation, 5,000 Naira new Naira note.
Okay. Hold on. It was never on our papers this very morning, but I've seen that very story you're talking about.
They are telling us that it is a fake news. That is the Buhari's inscription is there. It's one of the paper. One of the papers. One of the headlines.
I'm quite sorry. We did not read any headline like that this very morning. Please check well. I've seen the story, but like I said, we did not read anything like that on our headlines this very morning. Maybe you heard it somewhere else. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, your name?
Yeah, my name is Celestine. I'm speaking from Asaba.
Go on, Mr. Celestine.
This is my first time calling.
Yes, welcome on board.
I'm trying all over the years to get to this time. Well, I want to speak on two issues.
Okay.
One, the issue of the SEO in diaspora and wherever you find themselves. I happen to be a product of the Medugri and done just before the Boko Haram saga. We have Medugri, Borno State. Medugri is the only town in the whole northeastern state that never had a SEO. We stopped this thing because why? You can't be a Igbo of Northeast. And when we are coming home, you reach Obelafon, you remove your cap, you remove your regalia, and become ordinary human being and come home. Who is deceiving who? And we stop it. And those who force themselves into it, hide in the market. Chano, the two contestants kill themselves in the market. Sokoto the same thing, Yola the same thing. Please, we as Igbos, if they want to take care of subjects of Igbo where they find themselves, they should have a president. And the president of Igbo is like Igbo leader in that country and is subject to the think of that particular area. That is where we can have our peace. And secondly, coming to Dangote something, I took my cap for Dr. Becky. If they allow whatever our European countries are climbing about to give us whatever, we are becoming under slaves again. Let Port Harcourt refinery work. Nothing is wrong with that refinery. I believe that it's political. How can, Port Harcourt was first built, followed by Warri, and then Kaduna. How can the whole three refineries go down at the same time? Is that not falsehood? So Nigerians will wake up. We have had enough of this.
All right.
We are undoing ourselves. So if one refinery out of these three are working, then Dangote will not have monopoly over us.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Salasin. Thank you. We appreciate your input. 0803 221 6973 or 0803 827 6694 for those who have posted on our Facebook page. Very soon we're going to get on that platform. Good morning.
Chief Dr. Ben Tonyobona, good morning. My dear brother Franklin Ebuka, God bless you. I am Great Dame Ezra Fakego, streaming the airwaves from Osmoro.
Yes, go on.
Invasion of Boronu military base by terrorists and the killing of Brigadier General and other soldiers. It is not a new thing in Nigeria. Let me remind us that once we have had it that NDA was attacked, invaded, and the terrorists had a field day. It happened in Nigeria here. Killing of these people by terrorists. It is no longer anything to me. Because since 2012, these terrorists have been mesmerizing in Nigeria. Wreaking havoc. Destroying everything destroyable in this country. Unabated, unchecked, unpreventively. And every day we come here, begin to adduce reasons and warehouse. Let me tell you, our people say, it is no longer news to me. Soldiers, it's unfortunate they are dying, but then that is what they have signed. They do not look into the government that is paying them, that is employing them. The rulers of this country are not ready to do what? To save the soldiers and the civilians in this country. Gumi told us that the government of the day, all the people at the helm of affairs, they know where the terrorists live. They know them by name. They know their hideouts. Abacha said, any terrorism that lasts for 48 hours, the government knows everything about it. And that is what is playing out. Why are we disturbing ourselves? If soldiers are dying, what about us? Who thinks about us? Okay. We are civilians.
All right, thank you.
You see, Nigeria has been known for its bloodbaths and deaths. Let us not be worried. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your opinion. So, we're going to take one more call before we get to. We now go to the Facebook page to acknowledge this very post you have made. I think a couple of them are already there. So let's see who is going to be that last caller for this very morning. Hello. Are you there? Okay. I think we have to. Perhaps let's head to the Facebook page and get to the reactions after the Facebook. Then, if we have time to do the acknowledgement, or rather, if we have time to take more calls, we can take more calls. But let's get to the Facebook page now. Ivan Sude says he's watching from Onitsha. I think the issue with Ezendibo is not the name, but the attitude of the so-called Ezendibo. The intimidating way they carry themselves brings unnecessary attention and hate. Almost every tribe has their leaders in their host communities, but our people are so domineering and thereby attracting hate by the host community. Nevertheless, like Mr. Speaker said, Ohanes Ndibo has no power to punish defaulters. Then, Angels Ward Kenny says the foreign agencies advising Nigeria to give more license to other companies to start importation of petroleum products into the country are right. How can one person control and regulate the prices of petroleum products in Nigeria because they are the only one with the license to do so? Okay. Announce Amy says Ohanes Ndibo has outlived its relevance and has no power to strip or stop Igbos in outside Igbo land on how to celebrate Igbo culture. They can only advise, and the advice may not be binding on them. And he says for IMF and World Bank, the advice to third world countries is more of heavy burden than a silver bullet that can solve so many problems affecting them. It's high time African leaders jettisoned the economic suggestions than implementing them. And I go over to Austin Mogu from FM Onitsha. He says, on Ohanes Ndibo worldwide abolitionist Ndibo, I support what Tony Olisambeki said, that Ohanes Ndibo has no power to do so, whatever they have done. Can Ohanes Ndibo also abolish Sariki that protects the Hausa people outside their state, or other titles that confers to other tribes outside their state to protect and coordinate their people? Okay, so thank you for dropping by. Iko Okam is watching from Awada. Okay, so he says, considering what the US is saying in Abuja, there is a big problem in Nigeria, and the church leaders are not saying anything about it because the killers are after Christians. They call in Suzomo Wokwe from Onitsha. Thank you for following. Likewise, we'll go eat it. Dandola says he posted from Obosi. Daniel Obona, please, I have been advocating for this for some time now, but thank God that our people are now looking into it. It's never right to be a king in another man's land. The kingship is sacred and we should have some respect for it. And he says, please, let's stop this kingship thing in another man's land. It brings confusion. He said, like Tony said, we can call them Onyen Dundibu, and it shouldn't be something that we do lavishly. It can be done with some executive of the association. Albino Patrick, thank you for commenting. He talked about the increasing rent we have in the country, and he said government should look into it. Joseph Ike says, I don't believe this government because they do not care about their citizens. Mazin Urechikwadorum says, on SNDibo telling us that SNDibo should be proscribed is not acceptable because I have not seen any positive impact they have created to Weibo, so they should first proscribe themselves. He posted from Udala Onitsha. Promise Eni says, our leaders are not telling us the truth. For how many years will our refinery? Okay, so I'm trying to infer what you wanted to, right? Said, for how many years would our refineries not be put to good form? Every year they keep telling us every year they keep telling us the same old stories. Can they fix one and still give us fulfilled promises? He posted from Oboko. Then Christian Umunapwe says, Tony is right on the World Bank advice. It's pro-colonial. They should rather empower more private individuals to build refineries in Nigeria than to import, as we are closer to the crude oil to reduce transportation costs. In the case of SNDibo in diaspora, SNDibo is right and equally have the backing of the Nigerian government in this. If you go to Rome, respect the Romans and behave like the Romans. If not, come back home. Onuchukwu Emmanuel, Chumlistic Chummy Chukwuka, thank you all for following this very program. And at this point in time, we have to pack up because our time is fast spent. Then let me repeat the need for first power to rush to number 1 Umujoka by Anyeji Umenwa Street, Odumilea to Bosi. Power line, pole, Nkandi double, it fell as a result of the rain and the wind yesterday. It fell. If you pass through there, if you pass through there now, you will see that wires are on the floor. And there's one shop there. That shop, the shop deals on phone accessories, and then with this metallic protector there. So the quicker they go there and respond to that, so that other mama and wear power there, and people become electrocuted. So this is very important. So we thank every one of you for joining today's show. We appreciate all your input, and we thank you for always being there for us. My name is Franklin Ibeka, and we are signing off now. But that doesn't mean that we have ended today's program. There are other things lined up for you. By 11, we'll bring you good music. By 12, that should be news. And at 12:30 will be Cherry Box, where they bring you all the gossip. DJ Tunez, Burna Boy fighting, Whiskey coming in, all those plenty stories. You get them on Cherry Box. Thank you all for listening. My name is Franklin Ibeka. Good morning.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.